I'm just waiting for it to spin up. It says we're live. Thank God. We finally got the technology down. Well, folks,
Excellent.
It's time for another, shall we call it a virtual and socially distanced sevens? Well, we could call it that, but it's not really. I got great news, and this is all about wonderful news from Seven Spot. What you're looking at here is the mug of our friend, Bryan James. He reminds me so much of a dear friend, Phil Kushner, who's also done some streams with us. And Phil is a professional broadcaster. He owns his own radio station, and he's been known as an individual who never met a microphone he didn't like. And somehow when I think of that phrase, your face comes into my mind, Bryan.
Oh dear. It's not such a great thing.
How are you today?
Oh, we're good. We're good.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's how are we tomorrow? Because it's today here and it's tomorrow there.
That's correct.
New
It's
Zealand.
Saturday morning here.
Yeah. So the news that I've got for everybody is I'm trying to open up the content that we have here, and to that end, it's all very well and good for Jim Gould to come on like a blithery idiot and do his thing from time to time. But the world is a larger place, and we're all in different time zones. So I thought, why wouldn't it be a good thing to open our channel up to a few friends who have done some work with us before and are also interested in spreading the word of Seven. Of course, and when I think of microphones and cameras that you like, I also know that you are passionate about chevrons, Bryan.
Yes, that is a fact. Yes.
Yeah. So to that end, I'm going to be opening up the access, the control room, if you will, to Bryan. He's got some stuff that he's got planned, and I think he's got basically the workings of a great show. And I also think that he's got some secret stuff that he wants to discuss. So why don't I just turn it over to you, Bryan, and you can just take a moment to tell everybody kind of what you got in your mind as for the way forward in New Zealand.
Well, thanks, Jim. So when you first approached me, I was quite excited. Obviously, there is a lot going on in my garage. I've got my white Chevron, my black Chevron. I've got the burnout car in the process of being made. So there's lots of fabrication. Right. On top of that, I've got Keith's Chevron that we're starting out on, which is a rebuild. Well, that's going to be a really exciting one.
Well, that's what I wanted to. Can I just stop you for just a moment?
Yep.
Can you tell us a bit, because not everybody's up to speed with what Keith is doing. So Keith has a Chevron, and it's basically going to be well, you explain what the process. I know a little bit about it, and I know what's going into it, but could you just explain what his plans are?
Okay, so the background for this car is that Keith used to have a Chevron quite a number of years ago, and he wants to get back into the the 7S cars again. So he's gone out and he's bought a rolling chassis. Mm-hmm. It's an earlier model, I think from the late 80s.
Right.
And so what he's looking at repowering it, because it's a rolling chassis, there's no motor, no box.
Yeah.
And the diff's quite a weak little diff. It's all out of a Viva Magnum.
Wow.
So he's gone out and he's bought himself a 3 SGE, mm-hmm. a 6-speed box, mm-hmm. and currently looking at an independent rear end out of an Alteza.
Yeah.
And so all of these are going to get put up into the car, and with the view that it's going to end up being road legal as a nice little toy for him.
That sounds great. Now that to me is the kind of stuff that, you could pop in from time to time and have a real nice show if you want to do it live, if you wanted to do a recording thing. That's fine too, because we now have the technology. We can store these on a Sabre, and we can make a nice series of it. So we've got some plotting to do, you and I.
Oh yes, definitely. It's a bit daunting for me personally. I'm better off working with my hands than I am with electronics. And so it's easier for me to undo a nut and put it all back together again, as opposed to when things go wrong, I just look blankly at a screen and wonder what I've done wrong.
Well, I throw myself in here. I am not a wizard. I am far too old on the learning curve side. I didn't grow up with computers, but you know what? We can play with them, and we have the technology between yourself, myself, and I know Phil Kushner, who is my computer guru and is a dedicated broadcaster. He can help us fill in the details, and we can make something really professional that we'll all be proud of.
Yep. There's another thing I'd like to mention, because being stuck in the garage, that's part of what this hobby is about. And for the initial part of the hobby, while you're building your car, it's the biggest part, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But then comes that next step, and that is driving it.
Yeah.
And that's somewhere where I'd like to take it. So we do lots of runs and camping and things like that. In fact, in November, I attempted to do the what we called the Fraser 5000.
Right, I remember.
Which was 5,000 Ks driving around the circumference of New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, due to circumstances, I couldn't complete it. But there are lots of little runs like this, or weekend runs, and I would like to record and put together a little segment of just about how good this is and the people you meet.
Well, and
obviously the cars are part of it,
mm-hmm.
but the people are amazing.
You have touched on it, my friend, because I feel, and I've always said it, the cars are the vehicle that helps us tell our story. And that's really what it's all about for me. I mean, this is life's journey, and there's no better people in the whole world than car people. Except maybe bike people.
Yeah. We're actually very similar. The people that like motorbikes, they love these cars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you've got that same feeling, you've got your head out in the wind and you're exposed to the elements.
And you have to drive a 7 like you ride a motorbike. That's just a fact.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, I am looking forward to this, and I have got some feelers out for some more select few people that I want to work with, because I think that we can really develop something very, very special. And so to that end, I'm going to say thank you so much, because I'm really looking forward to what's happening in New Zealand. Such a wonderful culture. You got the beautiful Chevrons, you've got the Frasers, you got the McGregors, you got just like an amazing 7 culture in New Zealand.
There are and they're all beautifully built.
Yeah.
Because we have such strict laws about putting these cars on the road.
Yeah.
They have to be built to a very high degree.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's not only for the safety of the person driving, but the way they view it is that if you then on-sell your car,
mm-hmm.
the person buying it must be able to just hop in it and drive it safely.
Yeah.
And it's a very important part to the way we do things down here. So I know that a lot of people overseas have exactly the same thing. They want to build it to the very best of their ability.
Yeah.
And sometimes their ability isn't quite up to, say, a professional factory. So we mandate we mandate things like welding has to be done by a certified welder. So when the certification process comes along to putting it on the road,
mm-hmm.
the certifier can see that, yes, that welding was done by Joe Bloggs, who has a certified welding ticket.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't have to have it crack tested or x-rayed.
Yeah. Wow.
So there's lots of that I'll bring into the show. Like I can explain the laws that we have and the reasoning behind them.
Wow. So that roller that Keith's going to have on the show, it's going to have some welding, and you're going to be rolling that down to the welding shop and getting it done. Or are you the dedicated certified welder?
I used to have a welding ticket, but it's no longer current. No, I have a friend that is a certified welder, and he will be coming into my garage to do the welding. I've got 3-phase, so what
That's
we call
great.
440 volt.
Yep.
And so he'll be doing it there.
Yep. Sounds great. Well, my friend, we've been online here for a little over 10 minutes. Why don't we put a bow on it for now?
Yes.
And you and I can plot and scheme, and we can practice the controls and see if we can put together a show or two. Does that sound like a deal?
I'm looking forward to it. The more that we can get out, the more presentable it becomes,
the
more that people will want these cars, and it will be the best experience they will ever have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's been my attitude about a 7-spot, and that's been my attitude about these little cars. Is just like, the more we can get together, the better it'll be for everybody. Okay, my friend, I'm going to man the controls, and I'm going to say, have yourself a good day, and I will talk to you later.
Excellent. That's right. Later, but I think the Australians may say it like that.
I was only recently that I found out that New Zealand used to be part of New South Wales. Just like, what?
Ooh, things you don't want to say out loud, not down here.
I will talk to you later. Have yourself a great
buddy.
day. All right, cheers.
You too.
You bet. Bye.